Howdy, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Card Blitz. I'm your host, Kelly Reed, and today it is a bring in the weekend kind of episode. It is Friday afternoon, heading into the weekend, and I want to talk cards and hobby thoughts. And well, let's just get to it. Right off the bat, I picked up a book earlier this week. We're heading into the football season, and I want to learn more about Vince Lombardi and his thoughts and the way he ran the Packers. So picked up this edition of Run to Daylight, and hopefully I can get this run read before the start of the NFL season, and kind of share my thoughts. But certainly, speaking of football, we ran a contest about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and thanks in part to our friends over there at Colossal Collectibles up in Victoria, British Columbia. They hooked us up with a box of unopened wax on this 2025 CFL cards. And right now they are into week 8 of the current CFL season. And we had not one, but two winners for our prize pack giveaway. So if you will, reach out to me, TJ Mac Vintage Cards, Nostalgia 648, and Viking Wax Press. Our email address is in the comments. Shoot me an email and with your address, and I will get a pack and a couple of colossal top loaders sent to you ASAP. Alrighty, so wouldn't be a Card Blitz episode without talking about birthdays, right? And this is one that's going to make our man Nate over at Top City 5401 happy. Because today we're celebrating the birthday of a man turning 62 years old. He was born in Riverside, California. He has 7 NL MVPs. He has 2,935 hits, 762 career home runs, 73 home runs in a single season to set that record, almost 2,000 RBIs, 514 stolen bases, 2,558 walks. If you guessed Barry Lamar Bonds, you are spot on. Turning 62 years old today. So, Barry, if you will, reach out, give me a shout. Let's talk cards, man. And this card, representing Mr. Bonds here, is a SP Game Used Authentic Jersey card. It came out in 2001. I remember pulling it from a pack. And yeah, it says from Upper Deck that it is actually game-worn material. Back in the day when jersey cards, swatches were actually game used. All right, hobby thoughts. Now that we've talked books, birthdays, let's get into hobby thoughts on this weekend edition of Card Blitz. Um, the hobby president, Mr. John Mangini, over at the Mangini Collection, he posed a question yesterday, and he asked, "What makes a great collector?" And he kind of shared some thoughts, and it got me to thinking. And so I wrote down five traits that I believe a great collector possesses. The first one is that person, they enjoy what they collect. Otherwise, they wouldn't be collecting. So, if they're into like team sets, player runs, certain players, whole card sets, insert sets, whatever it is, they're happy to be in the moment and enjoying the process of collecting cards. So for me, that's the first attribute to a great card collector. Secondly, uh, great card collector is always learning. Like they're lifelong. They're like discovering the history of cards or certain uh, cards, those sets, manufacturing processes, regional releases, whatnot, and the histories of those players. And so, they're not satisfied just thinking, "Hey, I've mastered this block of knowledge and I'm good to go." No, they want to continue to improve their knowledge of the industry, of cards, the players, and then also utilizing that wisdom. And third thing is, I would say that they're patient. A great card collector is patient. They're not, that person. knows when to buy, knows when to hold off, no, understands they can't have it all the time, right now. They got to pace themselves and they have to spend their hobby dollars judiciously, which leads into number four, which is that they budget wisely. A great card collector understands not to jeopardize the family finances, understands that this is a hobby based on discretionary income. So if you got a couple of dollars you want to spend, you can do that, but you don't have to look at it as an investment aspect. And if it's a hobby and you're not working in the industry, enjoy it for what it is. But also understand that everyone's budgets are different. So you got to work within the parameters that fit your own needs. Lastly, and this one really struck home, I'd say um, a great card collector builds relationships. They're in the hobby. They help new hobbyists out. They are not, keeping the knowledge that they've earned and gained to themselves. They're willing to share. Um, even within like this YouTube community, they're willing to invest in other YouTubers. They watch their videos, they comment on their videos, they pass on words of encouragement. And so for me, John, I feel like those are the five traits of a great card collector. You might agree, you might disagree, but that's my thoughts on what makes a great card collector. Not the size of the collection, not the value of the collection, but those five attributes. Alrighty, yesterday, yesterday I had a lot of time in the evening, so I watched a couple of videos. I watched Mike over at Baseball Collector, and he brought up a video. He published a video stating cards that have taken a loss, and that takes some courage to say, "Hey, I purchased at X price, and now it's selling at a certain price level." And it wasn't a gain. There in this hobby, not always hobby wins with just elevated prices and return on investment or hobby dollars increasing in value. It's cyclical, and you're gonna have highs, you're gonna have lows, good times, bad times. Again, just a hobby. Someone famous up in Missouri said that once, right, Chris? And so but for Mike to do that, and I had commented to him on his video the previous 2 days prior, stating, for every win and hobby feel good, there are some losses, and I'm no exception. So to share mine, when I first got back in the hobby, um, there was a lot of hype in March of 2023 around a New York Yankee outfielder prospect named Jason Dominguez, the Martian. And as you can see here with this BGS 9.5, at the time, this was a hot card heading into the season. And I bought it and I was happy to buy it. The amount was for $60. It's nothing that's going to break the bank, but I thought, hey, I'm going to prospect too. And I got taught a lesson because as soon as he was called up to the Yankees that weekend, he went off. He was hot. However, 3 years later, not so hot. You can purchase a BGS 9.5 2020 Jason Dominguez Bowman Chrome card for about, I think, $25. So, again, I keep this card to remind myself of my hobby mistakes, my hobby error, my hobby lack of judgment. I fail, but that doesn't mean I quit the hobby. I continue to enjoy this hobby and know my lanes and know what I enjoy and continue to pursue that hobby in those means. Alrighty, speaking of enjoying the hobby and staying in your lane and budgets, earlier today I was watching a video with of Tim over at Grateful Vintage Cards. And Tim had talked about finding ways to enjoy the hobby while it is hot right now, market wise, dollars and cents wise. But Tim brought up the fact that you can enjoy this hobby by finding affordable alternatives. And he had mentioned the sportscasters cards. He mentioned some regional release cards. He also mentioned that like some vintage cards that wouldn't be collector grade, but they were still beautiful cards. And so, Tim, I commend you for doing you and for enjoying the hobby your way. Last weekend, segueing over, I went to the Dallas Card Show, and I went with my buddy Brett, and Brett and I had a great time. The show was packed, main room, barbecue hot inside. It was hot. Like even dealers were saying, "Man, it is hot in here." It was packed. It was stuffy. Ventilation, they got to do something to maybe get some more fans in there, something to circulate the air. Overall, it was a fun time. It was a great experience. I picked up some cards, and I want to show off those cards. So let me do that. Let me turn around the camera and share those with you.
1970 Topps baseball set. First card that I'm going to show here is card number 306 from the 1969 World Series, Game 2 at Baltimore. I also picked up card number 373, Roy White of the New York Yankees. The third card I picked up from the Dallas Card Show for my 1970 Topps baseball set is Mark Bob, a.k.a. Randy Bob, and Jim Kosman, pitcher of the Chicago Cubs. They were 1970 rookie stars. Card number 429. And to round out my pickups for the 1970 Topps baseball set, picked up one that Mr. Matt from Straight Race Cards would enjoy, card number 640. And that would be a card of Al Kaline. So now that I picked up those 4 cards, I have 6 cards left to complete my 1970 Topps baseball set. The big one being Nolan Ryan. Next big one would be Frank Robinson. And then I've got a couple of the lower numbered cards that I need to pick up that are probably just commons, but I need them to complete that set. So these are the 4 cards I picked up from the Dallas Card Show. Mr. Kaline, Future Stars Cubs, Mr. White of the Yankees, and then Game 2 of the 1969 World Series between the Orioles and the Mets. For my 1973 Topps football set, picked up a card of Mr. Archie Manning here. Picked up a card of Mr. Terry Bradshaw, who was signing at that Dallas Card Show this past weekend. And then needed a card of old Kenny Stabler here, the Snake from the Oakland Raiders back in the day. So 1973 Topps football card set, working on that one as well. I have 13 left to complete that set. And there's some of the bigger named ones like Franco Harris. And so again, this one's going to take a little while, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm pacing myself. And when I see cards that meet the condition that I need to complete my set, I'm going to try to pick them up as affordably as I can. So Ken Stabler, Terry Bradshaw, Archie Manning. All right. Now, counting to number 2, as I do a great job as a hand model for y'all. Picked up card number 108 for my 1959 Topps set. Card of old Proverb Jacobs, as well as card number 60 of Lou the Toe Groza. And I really like these 1969 Topps football cards, with the pastel backgrounds and then with the different coloring lettering for the fonts of the, calling out their names. Also the logos of a brownie and an eagle. So again, really cool, and the way that they cut out the image of the player, as well as, like I said, with the pastel backgrounds. Really like that a lot. So Lou the Toe Groza played tackle, as well as kicked extra points and field goals. So for that 1959 set, I just started that one. I need 100 more cards. As you might guess, big names, small names, medium names, all the names. It's going to take me a while to complete that set, but again, I'm enjoying the process and putting them in the card savers and putting them in my card saver binder. All right, last of the set building project cards that I picked up at the Dallas Card Show would be Eddie Murray. So with that 1980 top set, I've got 3 cards left. Robin Yount's one of the big ones, as is Nolan Ryan, and then a common. But I'll probably have this set knocked out, hopefully by October or November. And it wasn't just about completing card sets at the Dallas Card Show with my pickups. I picked up the 50-50 man, Mr. Shohei Ohtani. That was a value box purchase. Purchased it for 4 big ones. And you might say to yourself, hey, I could have done better. Well, okay, you could, but at the time, this card made sense to me. And again, he is the first player to go 50-50. And to me, that's just an incredible feat that I don't think will be matched anytime soon. 40-70 was epic. 50+, also epic. All righty. Well, again, thank y'all for bringing in the weekend with me here at CardBlitz. Without viewers like y'all, this channel wouldn't have the support and, getting the comments and the likes and the views, which I truly appreciate. I want to try to give back when I can with giveaways. And if you don't mind, tell your friends about us. And we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend and take care, y'all.